Welcome back to Out of the Darkness. So, I am your host, Q, and across from me, I have the rather dapper Soder.
Did get stuff.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
All right. So, he gave you the full treatment then.
Well, I get my hair cut like once a year, so
Yeah, you got the,
uh,
the spa fied.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I did. My hair's not long enough, so I can't do what that guy did in Brother Where Art Thou. But I don't know. Maybe in a couple weeks I will.
Well, my father-in-law used to always say that the difference between a bad haircut and a good haircut is about 2 weeks. So.
That is true. That is true. That is true. When I was first growing out my beard, um, it looked terrible. Just it was patchy everywhere.
Yeah.
So I would constantly, after a couple weeks, just shave everything off. And one time I was like, you know what? Just gonna keep it. Gonna keep at it.
I'm
And then it filled out.
I'm extremely jealous of you because I thought the same thing, and so I've been growing this out for about 5 years,
Wow.
and this is
Your
the
hair grows really slow.
extent of it. Yeah, I can't get it to tie in. I can't get it to grow on the side. I would love to grow a full beard, but I mean, it took me a long time. Now my brother, he's been shaving since he was like 12. Yeah, so I definitely didn't get the hairy gene. So
You
and
looked into testosterone steroids?
yeah, I looked into it, but then you should see my legs. Yeah, I've got the silky smoothest legs you've ever seen. So it makes me a faster swimmer though.
I'm gonna die.
So, all right, so you're gonna hate me, and we are
Why would I
about
hate
to
you, brother?
single-handedly we're going to lose about half of our subscribers because I am in a quandary. I am in a situation where I agree with Black Lives Matter.
Ah,
I do. I There's a situation that came up this over this last week on what June the 7th it looks like, so in the
about a
last
week ago.
about a week ago, and I am kind of, as a parent, I'm thrown off, and some of you guys probably heard about this, but this young kid DJ, is it Rubus, uh Hrubes, Rubus, I'm not sure, I'm probably messing that up. I apologize. No disrespect to you, DJ, or to your mother, Jerry. But he was out in the front yard. He was playing in his grandmother's front yard. A police officer, you probably heard about this.
I actually
Okay, the police officer came up to him, um, told him to get on the ground. Of course, he's a 10-year-old kid, right? So this 10-year-old kid, of course, he was black. He says, "Did I do something wrong?" He had nothing in his hand, nothing. He wasn't playing with. He was just outside playing, running around. Um, he says, "Stop asking questions," while holding him at gunpoint. His white mother runs out of the house and says, "What are you doing? What's wrong with you?" He's a 10-year-old kid. The officer then puts his gun away without saying a word, goes back to his car and drives off. Never says anything
what?
at all. So I'm extremely frustrated because, look, I'm not going to turn this into a race issue, okay? Because I mean, I'm not.
Sorry, I already did that.
Well, I'm I'm not going to turn it into a race issue because I can't say beyond any shadow of a doubt that this happened because he was black. But in a city like Salt Lake City, it's right outside Salt Lake City. That's 1.5%.
You're doing a terrible job with your argument right now.
Well, in a city that's like 1.5% black, okay, it's hard to imagine that his ethnicity didn't have something to do with it. Okay, now maybe it didn't. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. What I'm not going to give the benefit of the doubt is this officer putting a child at gunpoint. Now, if you're going to tell me the kid is 14, 15, 16, I've seen some 14, 15-year-old kids look like grown kids. They look like adults. Like I'm shocked that I'll see kids that playing high school basketball and I'm like, somebody needs to check that kid's birth certificate. I think we have a grown man out here playing high school freshman basketball, right? Um,
Well, maybe they're a Wilmer kid, high school for
Not gonna touch that today. Super duper duper seniors, right?
years.
I'm not gonna touch that today. But at 10 years old, you and I both have kids. We have kids close to that age
You're getting there,
range,
getting
right?
close.
There's nothing about a 10-year-old kid that looks like a grown man. Just they just don't. And there's pictures of this kid. If you guys want to check this out, you guys check it out. I was checking it out on Fox News. They have a picture of the kid and his mother up. This kid in no way looks like a grown man. But even if he did, I mean, are you kidding me? You get out of the vehicle and the very first thing you do is pull out your gun and put your gun on a kid. I mean that just
That's so dangerous to just escalate like that.
I put myself in that parent's shoes, right? The problem is that it would not. I can't imagine myself. I can't imagine that going well if I'm the parent. I just can't. In fact, I know it wouldn't go well, especially in my front yard.
Yeah,
I just don't see that going well.
they're in your front yard. That's
All I
a
see
lot of
is
assumptions can be made.
all I see is that there's somebody outside my front yard that is got a gun pointed at my child. That's a major problem. I've got a cousin of mine, very a good guy, but similar situation. A female officer pulled up, told him to get on his knees, put his hands behind his head. She holds a gun on him, and she accidentally, her finger slipped or whatever, but she accidentally discharged her weapon into the back of his skull. She killed him. So when you start pointing guns at people, I get a really, really concerned, even if you are a quote unquote professional. I'm sorry. And so now, um, Black Lives Matter, which I typically don't agree. At first, I was against it. So Lex Scott, the founder of Black Lives Matter in Utah, said that they would not, they would be demanding the officer be fired. Okay. At first, I was thinking, nah, I mean that seems a little bit excessive. But at this point, I'll agree. I will agree. If you are that antsy that you don't feel safe unless you hold a 10-year-old at gunpoint, then I'm sorry.
Oh, really?
Public,
Anyone playing in their front yard? I mean, a 10-year-old, 30-year-old.
it is not for you. That line of work is not for you. At what point are we going to say that some of these guys, statistically, I get so sick of, oh, well, they have a really dangerous job. Statistically, I understand that unfortunately there are some police officers that do come under fire, and that is, I don't condone violence against police officers in any way ever. But it is more dangerous being on the other side of that situation as an
Well,
American.
when an oil field rigger screws up, he's dead. Maybe some of his buddies, depending on what he screwed up. Cop gets something wrong, someone else is dead.
Someone else is dead.
Not the cop,
Typically
someone
not.
else.
Typically not. I mean, unfortunately, the numbers are in. There are more uh, people who die on the other side of that than the officers that do. And I'm not saying that I condone it. I'm not saying I condone that in any way. But I feel that more people should survive officer encounters than do, right? And that's all people. That's not a black issue. That's not a Mexican issue. That's not a white issue. That is an all people issue. At some point, we got to have an honest discussion about this. And unfortunately, it is Black Lives Matter that's making this argument. And I find myself agreeing. I don't agree with much that Black Lives Matter stands for because I feel that instead of focusing on the black issue, they should be focusing on the policing issue, which I think is a bigger issue than just it's a lives matter in America issue,
Yeah.
right? And just because you have an encounter with the police does not mean that someone should not walk away from that encounter. So we need to have a discussion, not a discussion. We just need to start firing cops that are incapable of having a discussion with people without feeling like they have to be the one holding the gun, especially when that other person is a 10-year-old kid. If you are
Someone
that
who can't
threatened,
have a gun, can't point it at the cop without even bigger serious problems. It's,
I mean, the fact that the child was special needs, and so the officer comes back uh, at the end of the day and apologizes to the mother and to
where
the
did he
kid.
go? Did he go eat donuts or
I
something?
have no
Or
idea, but they're not even saying what the cop was looking for. They're not saying what the officer was looking for or why the
was there a
officer.
midget going on a rampage through Salt Lake City?
I have no idea. But the interesting part about it is of course, the kid goes up and gives him a hug and tells him he forgives him.
Oh, that's nice.
It's a feel good story, but at the same time, I mean, he is a special needs child. Um, the officer should lose his job. Period. Point blank. Into discussion. That is not. We all have gone through career changes in our lives at some point. Not all of us, but many of us have. We thought that we were going to be really good at something, and we realized, you know what? It doesn't make me happy. I don't love this. Engineering was mine. I found I just really didn't like it. Right. So I left that field. Um, I enjoyed sales much better. I like dealing with people most of the time, but I decided I was going to do something different. And so here I am doing something that I enjoy doing. He needs to be relieved of his duty. Being an officer is not for him. It's not. We just dealt with this situation here in Minnesota with the officer killing that lady from Australia, right?
Yeah, Nor.
Yeah, Officer Noor. And he got what 12 years, I think.
How much did that Geronimo guy get? Uh,
Philando Castile.
yeah, that guy.
Not nearly as much as she
Yeah.
did. Yeah, that was yeah, not near. I forget the numbers, but I want to say that her family got 3 times that amount. But fortunately, this didn't wind up in a fatal shooting. I mean, thank God that it didn't. It could have easily gone bad very quickly, but it didn't. Um, but bottom line is I find myself, in all fairness, looking at this from the Black Lives Matter platform and saying, you know what? While I disagree with 90% of what is said in this particular situation, that officer needs to be relieved of his duty. Just all there is to it. What say you?
Uh, I do not like anything that he did. Well, up until the point when you said that he was holding a gun on the kid, I was like, administrative discipline. Does he really need to lose his job? You know, we can be forgiving here. We
Sure.
can work with this. This is teachable, right? But then when you told me he had a gun pulled on the kid, I was like, oh, uh,
Because
the
immediately his
this
dad,
is a teachable moment, but the consequences are going to be far more severe.
as dads, right? There's certain things. I mean, when it comes to our kids, we don't mess around. And there are things that you can do at your job. I mean, with whatever you do for work, Soder, whatever I do for work, there are things that I could do that I know that if I did, I would lose my job. Pulling a gun on one of my customers is one of them, right?
Yeah,
Pulling a gun on one of my customers' kids,
you've lost that customer. You've lost any other customers that they know.
and I'm losing my job. And people have lost their jobs for less. And I find myself agreeing. So this will be the one time that you'll see. Um, I shouldn't say that. I should not say that. This is one time I have spoken very negatively about BLM in the past. But this is one time where I can say I agree with their assumption. I was against it at first. My immediate thought was, I don't know if the officer loses his job. But the more I thought about it and thought about it, if it were my child, yes, 100%, I would be calling for the officer to be fired. No questions asked. So we'll have to see what Mr. Nick Ricada thinks about this. I'd be curious to.
Hope he can stream about that. No other big news. Dick Mignogna saga is
You know what?
coming
Maybe
out.
Maybe we'll have to see if we can't have a discussion about it because I'm pretty.
I wonder if he's gonna be back on. Kind of doubt it,
Oh
but
no, he won't be.
he won't
He
be.
won't be. No, no, no. So gonna be hanging out south. So
Maybe we'll have to crash his show
we'll have to do that. I'm down, 100%. But hey, guys, what do you guys think about this? This is a hot topic. I mean, I'm pretty curious what you guys think about it. Should the officer lose his job? Should he not lose his job? Do you feel like he was within his rights? Hey, at the end of the day, guys, as you guys know about me, I don't have to agree with you to respect you. I don't have to agree with you to like you. You don't have to agree with me to respect me. You don't have to agree with me to like me. But I do like to hear other people's side of the view, and I will respect it and always be respectable. So I want to hear what you guys' thoughts are. Do you think that the officer should lose his job? Do you think that he should keep his job? And how would you deal with it if you were in this situation? So, um, great having you guys on the show. Great having you here, Soder, and thank you for being here once again.
after today. Uh,
But um, but yeah, but guys, if you are not a subscriber to Out of the Darkness, be sure to press the button down below, subscribe to the show, and once again, remind you to stay in the fight. Um, we have liberty, but liberty is only one generation away. So from extinction. So always fight for it. We'll see you guys later. Have a great day.